allow you time to get your paperwork done.
I'm sorry, I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. We're good. This time I'd like to call our special meeting on December 3rd, 5 o'clock meeting, special meeting regarding dementia-friendly initiative training. And at this time, I would like to have our invocation, then we'll stand for our pledge of allegiance. Everyone, please stand. Father God, we thank you, Lord, for just another wonderful day that you've just allowed us to wake up in. Father, we thank you for all the blessings that you've given us throughout life. We continue to pray, Father, for the ones that have received all the destruction, Father, during the storm that we have witnessed. We also thank you for the blessings that we've received, and especially this time of the season, Lord, we're so grateful. Go with us now as we conduct county business, and we hope everything be pleasing in thy sight. In Jesus' name, Lord, we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, we have Ms. Bell, dementia-friendly initiative training.
Thank you all for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
I've given you an overview of dementia-friendly community or Dementia-Friendly North Carolina. It is an initiative that was started by the UK, and we are following in their footsteps. We are, as far as I know, we're the third county in the state of North Carolina to start this initiative, and it is still very new. So you've got an overview. I won't read over that because this session is not an educational session. It is an informational session. I am by far an expert on Alzheimer's and any form of dementia, but we do have resources available through alzheimers.org that you could reach out to. They have a 24-hour hotline that anyone can call, whether it's someone with Alzheimer's or dementia or a caregiver. So that information is available in your packets as well. Once we're finished, I would like for you all to take a few moments to go over and evaluate the Dementia Friends North Carolina session. On the back of that, it gives you the opportunity to say what kind of things you might want to do personally within your community to reach out and improve this initiative and spread it throughout each community. We would like to reach out to the businesses, to the churches, restaurants especially, most any organization that's with the county, because we all do come in contact with people who have dementia regularly, and that's something that's only going to grow exponentially. So once we finish the evaluation, I would like to get a photo, if I could, of everyone holding a Dementia Friends North Carolina piece of paper, and what I'm going to do whenever I get back to my office is I will fill out a certificate for all of you so that you can place it in your office, letting everyone know that you have been trained as a dementia friend. So if you look at your session notebook, this is supposed to be very scripted. It's not supposed to take a long period of time. So basically, what is a Dementia Friends program? I've already told you a little bit about it. But it is a global movement, and it's something that the vision is that people who have Alzheimer's or dementia won't be, they'll be able to be out in the community instead of being at home and not taking part, because people, you'll see in some of our information, people who live with dementia oftentimes still live a very positive life. They're still very they hold jobs, they still drive, they go to church, but it's just one of those things that as the disease progresses, that's whenever issues take place where people have to be at home. So, we'll start on page 1. I volunteered to become a dementia friend basically because it's not because I'm the aging director. I have personal experiences with dementia. My great-grandmother had Parkinson's disease, and she had what they call Lewy body dementia. And with that, oftentimes she would forget who I was, and it was very difficult for me. So this kind of touches my heart, and it's something that I really feel is important. So I completed the training to be a Dementia Friends champion, and like I said, I am no expert. But my role is to give advice, and if you have any questions, I may not be able to answer those, but I may be able to direct you to someone who can. The session will last about 60 minutes without any breaks. I like to cut it down to about 45, but we'll just see how it goes. After participating, you will be able to describe dementia, and you'll know the most common type of dementia. You'll understand the 5 key messages that a person, to communicate with a person living with dementia. And towards the end of the session, you'll be asked to choose a small action to take part in as becoming a dementia friend. So on page 2, we'd like to, this is kind of an interactive type session, so I would like for you all to take a moment, if you don't mind, to think of one word that you could share whenever you think of someone that has dementia. Feel free.
I think family when I think about dementia. And I'm thinking more about the caregivers and what it means to them, especially when we're born at the end stage of dementia.
I would say frustrating, in particular for the one who is going through it.
My father had dementia, and it was stress on the whole family, especially his spouse.
Mr. Coffin?
Age,
Okay.
consideration.
I would say, concerns. I was gonna say, but as it's already said, the impact on the family, on financial, situation, as well as being dedicated to that person, dedication.
Mr. Wood?
Devastating.
Mr. Prince?
Impact on family to me is the biggest thing. I'm trying to get everybody to recognize it and how to treat it.
So, are these positive or negative?
It's real life.
Dementia is not a specific disease. It's an overall term that describes a wide range of symptoms, kind of like an umbrella term. It's associated with decline in memory and other thinking skills severe enough to reduce a person's ability to perform everyday activities. Alzheimer's disease is the most common. It accounts for about 60 to 80% of the dementias. Other types of dementia include dementia with Lewy bodies, like my great-grandmother had. Frontotemporal, and that one, a lot of times people lose control of their ability to not lash out at people. They can become quite angry and difficult to deal with. And then you have your vascular dementias, and those normally come from a series of small, what we call TIAs or mini strokes. It affects the vasculature of the brain and causes the brain to die in places. And the different types of dementia can be found in your session work, so you can find out a little bit more about those. Dementia is also, I want to really stress this, it's referred to as senility or senile dementia. And that is a stigmatic term that we really do not want to use because it makes people think that everyone who gets old is going to develop some form of dementia, which is absolutely untrue. Okay, so on page 2. Dementia Friends, like I said, is a global movement by the Alzheimer's Society of the United Kingdom, and it's now underway in the United States. The goal is to help everyone in the community understand 5 key messages about dementia, how it affects people, and how we each can make a difference in the lives of people living with the disease. People with dementia need to be understood and supported in their communities, and you can help by becoming a dementia friend. On page 3, we're talking about normal aging versus Alzheimer's disease. Most people know that they experience physical changes as we age. We're a little sore when we get up some mornings. We have to wear glasses now. Our hair is graying. But we also experience a little bit of cognitive change as well. We may find that we don't remember people's names as easily as we used to, or may have trouble concentrating in a busy setting. On page 3 of your workbook, it has a description of typical age-related changes that may occur. But now we're going to talk about changes that are not normal and maybe signs of symptoms or symptoms of something different. So still on page 3, there are 10 early signs and symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, and they're listed on page 3 in your workbook. The first sign is memory loss that disrupts daily life.
Do we have what you're talking about?
In your session workbook,
I don't see.
your session workbook looks like this.
We don't have that.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's all it sounds like.
I gave you one.
I understand
There you
that.
go. That's your
Okay,
session
it's on page
workbook.
3.
Yeah, I was like,
Well, I thought I had it.
I'm so sorry.
Hey, we're comprehensive, pretty good.
You're doing great. You're paying attention.
I was lost.
I passed these out to everybody out there.
that's
I thought that's my page 3.
I was like, I said something or not?
Please do, please do. You got one?
Hey, we thought we all had dementia.
No,
All
no,
right,
no.
so we're on
It's
page
my normal part of the aging, y'all.
What's he talking about?
Okay, on page 3 in your session workbook.
Okay.
So the first sign is memory loss that disrupts your daily life. A typical normal aging is sometimes forgetting appointments, but remembering them later. But people with Alzheimer's disease, they experience forgetfulness that they can't retrace. That is just lost. They often rely on memory aids, such as Post-it notes and reminders on their electronic devices. But just because they do that does not mean that you have Alzheimer's or dementia. I do that myself. Oftentimes they rely on their family members for reminding them of things that they normally would remember how to do. A second sign is the challenges in planning or solving problems. Typical normal aging, you occasionally make errors when you're balancing your checkbook. But people with Alzheimer's or dementia may have trouble following a regular recipe that they're used to making, or keeping track of their bills every month. The third sign is difficulty completing familiar tasks at home, at work, or at leisure. Typical normal aging is on occasion you need help to use the settings on a microwave, or my daddy's experience, the DVD remote control thing. He always has a hard time with that. But people with Alzheimer's disease may have trouble driving to a familiar location. They may have trouble managing a budget at work or remembering the rules of a favorite game. The fourth sign is confusion with time or place. Normally, we can get confused about what day of the week it is, but we figure it out, within just a little bit. People with Alzheimer's disease can lose track of dates, seasons, and the passage of time. They may have trouble understanding something if it's not happening immediately. And they may forget where they are or how they got there. The fifth sign is trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships. Typically, with normal aging, we have vision changes related to cataracts or farsightedness. But for some people with Alzheimer's disease, having vision problems is actually a sign. They may have difficulty reading or judging distance and determining color and contrast. And that may cause trouble with driving. The sixth sign is new problems with words and speaking or writing. We typically, as we age, sometimes have trouble just finding the right word. But people with Alzheimer's disease often have trouble joining in or following a conversation. They may stop in the middle of the conversation and have no idea how to continue. They repeat themselves, and they may struggle with vocabulary and have problems finding the right words or call things by a different name, like calling a watch a hand clock. And that's something that happens quite often, is that thingamajigger, that thingamabob, they just can't quite figure the word for it. The seventh sign is misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace your steps. Now, we all lose our keys, but we wind up being able to find them again. A person with Alzheimer's disease may put things in unusual places, like grits in the bedroom slippers and things of that nature. They may lose things and be unable to go back and trace their steps. They oftentimes accuse people of stealing, even their closest family members. This may occur more frequently over time, and that is not typical of normal aging. We all misplace things from time to time. The eighth sign is decreased or poor judgment, and oftentimes this is one of the actual first signs that you see. I have one lady that I know, her mother decided it was going to be a great idea to walk her dog down the side of Highway 87. So that's how they knew immediately that something really bad was going on. The people with Alzheimer's may experience changes in judgment and decision making. They oftentimes use poor judgment when dealing with money and give large sums of money to telemarketers, people who call asking for donations and things like that. The ninth sign is withdrawal from work or social activities. Now, normally as we age, some of us are tired after work. We don't feel like going to Sunday school or to church one Wednesday night. We may not feel like going out for a bridge game that we normally would have gone. But people with Alzheimer's start to remove themselves from their hobbies, from their social activities, work projects, and sports. They may have trouble keeping up with their favorite sports team or remembering how to complete their favorite hobby. They may also avoid being social because of the changes that they have experienced, because a lot of times they are aware that there's something going on. And the last sign is changes in mood and personality. It's typical for us to have very specific ways of doing things and becoming irritable if our routine is upset. However, people with Alzheimer's disease can become confused, suspicious, depressed, fearful, and anxious. They may be easily upset at home or at work or with friends or in places where they're out of their comfort zone. Okay, on page 4, this activity will help you to better understand dementia, and you'll learn 5 key messages. I want you to match the sentences in column 1 to column 2 by writing the response in the answer column. And at the end, you should have 5 sentences that make sense. And I'll give you, if you want to work in pairs or in small groups, that's fine, but I'll give you about 5 minutes to complete that. going to say to start, and you guys feel free to chime in. Dementia is not,
A normal part of aging. Not everyone who grows old will develop dementia.
correct. This is our first key message. And what do you think we mean by this?
Is that everyone that, is a senior citizen or moving, up in age is not always, they're not going to have Alzheimer's or show
Correct.
signs of dementia.
While it's true that dementia is more common in people over 65, not everyone who grows old grows dementia or develops dementia. Some of us may become forgetful as we get older during times of stress or illness, but it's a different type of forgetfulness. Memory loss will be more noticeable and may be accompanied by mood changes and confusion. And it's always important to ask a doctor to check for any type of unusual symptoms, because a lot of times with seniors, just something as small as a urinary tract infection can cause serious cognitive impairments. So number 2, dementia is caused by,
Disease of the brain.
Is he good, Brian?
Correct. that is, this is our second key message. And does anyone know the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's disease? Dementia, like I said before, is like an umbrella term. It's a collection of all of your different types of dementia, your Alzheimer's, your Lewy bodies, your vascular, and your frontotemporal. So number 3, dementia is not just,
About having memory problems.
Correct.
It can affect thinking, communication, and doing everyday tasks.
correct, and this is our third key message. People often think of dementia as a form of memory loss. Although memory loss is often one of the first signs of dementia, especially with Alzheimer's disease, it's much more than that. Dementia can affect the way people think, speak, and do things. Dementia makes it harder to plan and to learn new activities. And it interferes with the structured tasks like writing. It also makes it harder to communicate. So number 4, it is possible to have a,
Good quality of life with dementia.
correct, and this is the 4th key message. Most of us have an image in our mind of what life with dementia looks like. Our very first activity where we had to name one word to describe that kind of tells that. But even though the image is often bleak, it can be very surprising to learn that people can live very productive lives well into a diagnosis with Alzheimer's or dementia. So number 5, there's more to the person than, correct, and this is our 5th key message. In the same way that we would not look at someone who had diabetes as the disease, we don't want to look at people who have Alzheimer's or dementia as the disease. We often like to say living with Alzheimer's or dementia rather than struggling with. That's a big thing that people can do in the community as dementia friends, is just to not refer to it in that way. So at the end of today's lesson, I'll ask you to think about things you can do differently in your day-to-day life that will affect people who are living with dementia. And remember that in dementia, as many of you spoke about, it has an impact on the whole family, not just the person who has the disease. So to help your thinking, some other actions that people have committed to, or if you know someone in your community who has dementia, or whose family or whose family member has dementia, ask them if there's anything you can do. Just maybe cook them a meal or something like that. Maybe sit with someone so that they can go get their hair done or go get a haircut or something like that. If the person ahead of you in line is struggling in the grocery store, just be a little more patient, because they could be developing some dementia. One thing that I've noticed out and about is, because I guess I just spot it, but if I see someone in the grocery store and I see that they're struggling over all of the different variety of things that they're already getting, they look like they're so lost. And oftentimes all it takes is Are you looking, if you see someone in the produce section, are you looking for cucumbers or are you looking for broccoli? If you like call out something instead of what are you looking for, because that's just too much, they can't pinpoint that. Another thing that you can do is tell someone that, what you've learned about dementia and encourage them to become a dementia friend as well. So on page 5, we're going to talk about the bookcase story, and this, I thought this was a very good illustration. As I said before, dementia is caused by a disease that damages brain cells. This damage interferes with how brain cells communicate with one another. So when brain cells can't communicate effectively, a person's thinking, behavior, and feelings can be affected. The brain has many different areas, and each one is responsible for different functions, like memory, judgment, movement. When cells in an area of the brain are damaged, that area doesn't function efficiently any longer. So the following story is a good way to illustrate that. Everyone's brain is affected differently by dementia. For right now, let's imagine a 70-year-old woman who has dementia, and imagine that there's a full bookcase beside of her, and each book inside represents one of her skills or memories. On the top shelves are her memories of facts and her skill for thinking in complex or complicated ways. For some people with dementia, the top or outer part of the brain is damaged first. So skills like math, using language, and keeping one's behavior in check are in this part of the brain. And in our bookcase story, these skills are also books on the top shelf. When dementia rocks the woman's bookcase, the books on the top shelf begin to fall out. The woman may not remember what she ate for breakfast, or that she has to pay for items in the store before she leaves, or that someone came to visit her this morning. Emotions and feelings are deep down, lower in the brain, and within the bookcase, they are just like the inner part of the brain. And in this distinct area of the brain, feelings like love, happiness, frustration, and sensing respect, they reside in there. As dementia continues to rock her bookcase, the books on these lower shelves stay for a much longer time. The bookcase story helps to explain different thinking skills and memories and the effect of dementia. Facts and complex thinking will fall away quickly, where emotions and feelings remain much longer. So if we return to the lady, and for a real-life example of the bookcase story, say her daughter may visit and find that the mother can no longer remember her name. She will, however, remember that she has love and that she is cherished, and that she's comfortable and supported in the visit. However, if the mother and daughter were to argue, the mother might not remember the details, but she will remember the feelings. And as her dementia continues, the woman might lose other thinking skills. She may no longer be able to manage her finances, complete activities she once enjoyed, or communicate with family and friends. Dementia affects each person differently. So remember that dementia also affects the factual and emotional parts of the brain differently. The top part that manages facts, like faces, names, dates, places, is affected first, and the facts are easily forgotten. The lower part that manages emotions is affected later, and so feelings and emotions aren't lost as quickly as facts are. The brain stores both recent and past memories, and people with dementia, the most recent memories are lost first, and the memories from earlier in life are remembered longer. Other thinking skills are also affected by dementia, including planning, judgment, and communication. Planning is the skill we use to carry out everyday activities. So a woman with dementia may not be able to make cookies the way she could in the past, or a man may have trouble mowing the lawn like he had done all his life. Judgment is a skill we use to keep ourselves safe and to interact with others. And a person with dementia may give money to anyone who calls and asks for donations, or may loudly criticize people in public. In just a few moments, we'll be talking more about communication. But if you look on page 5, there is an image of the healthy brain versus a brain with dementia or Alzheimer's disease, and you can see how it is affected physically by the disease. So on page 6, we're gonna talk about everyday tasks. As we've just learned, planning is a skill we use to carry out everyday activities. So next, I'd like for you to work in pairs or groups and write a step-by-step instruction list to complete a task you do daily or often. And you can just use the back side of one of your handouts to do this. Most of the time, we use the steps it would take to brush your teeth. So if you want to do 3, 3, and 3, y'all could work together. Pick either brushing your teeth step by step so that someone who has never done it before could do it, or making a sandwich. And you will have about 5 minutes to do this.
Yeah, hold on. Alright, so, brush your teeth, not wash your teeth. Alright, so step 1. Step 1, walk into the bathroom.
No, they don't know.
Okay, so step 1, we wake up, go to the bathroom, and wash your hands. Locate your brush. Yeah.
Demonstrate and show the toothbrush.
I don't have a cabinet, mine's on the side, so just locate your brush. So locate your
I would have, toothbrush. I have sure. I have 2 eyes.
And so
Demonstrate too.
locate toothbrush.
You have 2, right? Demonstrate.
Yeah, it's really good, it lightens your teeth.
You gonna
Walk into the bathroom, locate
demonstration of
toothbrush.
that.
Apply toothpaste. Locate toothbrush and toothpaste. And toothpaste. And then wet brush. Yeah. Oh, wait.
Now you got-
Locate
now
toothbrush
hold
and
up, like,
toothpaste, wet brush.
There you go.
Toothpaste.
Yes, do that, go down.
Do that, yes, switch. Alright, so apply toothpaste. And then insert into mouth.
Yeah.
Insert into mouth. Brush every day.
Go around the church, around every church, go around the
Yeah, brush every.
That's my apple.
I did mine before. I did because I brush, like I brush the excess stuff. I don't, like I said, I don't. I don't. I do if I have something to do. Guilty. Guilty. Insert into mouth.
Insert mouth. And you supposed to up and down.
Okay. And then
All the way
vigorously,
around.
vigorously brush.
Up and down, back up, from left to right.
Vigorously, paying attention to everything.
Yeah.
Is there a crowd of them? Probably. Okay. Maybe it's McDonald's. They need a TV investigation over there.
Left to right. Right. Up and down.
Brush,
You have about a minute left.
And
brush.
pickup cup, one head, one water. And then, yes.
We ready? Okay, it looks like you two did brushing your teeth and you guys did making a sandwich. So for the brushing of the teeth, how many steps did you have altogether? I had
8.
How many did y'all have?
I put 5 things in one.
We got about 5.
About 5? How many steps to make a sandwich?
31.
We don't make it very long, that's why.
Did you go to drawer and get a 9 first?
So, would anyone like to share their first step? Let's do the toothbrush thing for starters.
Wake out of bed.
Your very first step. Wait,
We wake out of bed, that's first.
okay. You guys?
What we did, number one, we had two toothbrushes,
Mm-hmm.
and we, demonstrate how to put on the toothpaste.
Oh,
That's
Okay.
number one, you have 2 brushes though, and then we're gonna demonstrate it.
So you're demonstrating to someone who's never done it before
Mhm.
instead of
Give
actually.
them a brush and we have a brush.
Okay, I see your angle there. So, do you think that, you know, how many, with your 8 steps, 9 steps, did you combine any steps that you
Yes.
think could have easily been broken down into those?
Most things,
Were combined, okay. And did you guys combine any steps at all?
We had simple steps anyway.
What was your first?
Well, we skipped a few of the first one, but we had to go to the grocery store.
Okay, so it is easy to combine a lot of things. However, when you're dealing with someone with Alzheimer's or dementia, those steps, if not absolutely laid out, will be very, very difficult for someone to do. So-
Demonstrate.
So we can all conclude that the list would be extremely long if we broke it down into like 31 steps to make a sandwich. When you think about the functions that are controlled by the brain, it takes a lot. The brain is doing an awful lot, like keeping you breathing, keeping your heart pumping, not to mention, you know, your actual cognitive ability to make a sandwich or brush your teeth. So I know for us, whenever we did this was a very difficult task to do. And we left out quite a few things that were just known, you know, and a lot of times that's not the way it is with people with Alzheimer's or dementia. So most people take simple day-to-day tasks for granted, and when you actually break the task down, it's very complex. And for someone with dementia who has problems with planning, decision-making, communication, and remembering, any one of these steps can be very difficult. But with support, like Mr. Bullock is going to show someone, he's going to brush his teeth with them rather than just try to brush their teeth for them. He's going to get a lot more out of that than he is by just telling someone to do something. So that was a good angle there. I like that. So if we can identify the steps that a person is struggling with and help them with that, we can empower them to be more independent. So if you look at page 7, we're going to talk about communication. So the ability to exchange ideas, wishes, and feelings is a basic human need. Communication with a person with dementia requires patience, understanding, and very good listening skills. When we talk about the bookcase story, we talk about how a person might feel as the changes with dementia continue to affect their thinking. One of the skills that may be greatly changed is the ability to communicate, and both expressing needs and understanding what others are asking. As we now talk about communication, keep in mind how a person might feel. Changes in the ability to communicate are unique to each person with Alzheimer's or dementia, and can include using familiar words repeatedly. Remember, we talked about unfamiliar words, we lost them. So oftentimes inventing new words to describe familiar objects. Easily losing his or her own train of thought. reverting to a first or birth language after many, many years, and having difficulty organizing words logically. We in the nursing field call that gobbledygook. They know what they're saying, but we have no idea, and they hear gobbledygook as well. So whenever you're trying to get someone with Alzheimer's or dementia to do something that you want them to do, just because you're speaking clearly to them in a calm tone, doing everything you're supposed to do, if they're not receiving that as anything more than gobbledygook, you're not gonna get anything with them. So ongoing communication is very important, no matter how difficult it may become or how confused a person with Alzheimer's or dementia may appear. You may notice that the person is more easily confused. They may not respond to what you're saying or asking. They may respond by pushing you away, crying, or making sounds. And sometimes we call these responses behaviors, but often they are simply their form of communication that they have left. If the person can no longer tell you it hurts to put their arms over their head to put on a shirt, they may push you away. If everyone is moving quickly around them, they may not be able to tell you to slow down, so they may cry. So the following tips when communicating with a person with dementia include: always treat a person with dignity and respect. Avoid talking past them as if they're not there. Be aware of your own feelings. If you're frustrated, your tone of voice will show that you are frustrated, and people will know that. Because like we said, feelings are one of the last things that they lose. Be patient and supportive. Let a person know that you are listening and you're trying to understand what they are saying, and show that you care about what they're saying, and being careful not to interrupt them. People with dementia may have difficulty communicating if they move or talk too quickly. It may take a person up to 20 seconds to take in what you've said and to get out their own response. So let's time 20 seconds. So how'd that feel? Awkward, especially when you're staring at somebody waiting for them to respond to you. Feels awkward to them as well. So this just gives us an example of how long that can be, and that we need to allow that extra time to allow someone with dementia to communicate. If someone's having trouble communicating, offer comfort and reassurance. Let them know that it's okay and encourage them to continue. Avoid criticizing or correcting. Do not tell a person that what he or she is saying is wrong or incorrect. Just listen and try to find the meaning of what they're saying. Always avoid arguing. You have to meet people where they are. If they say the sky is purple, it is a beautiful shade of purple today. That's the only way you're going to decrease agitation, and they will get along much better with you. Offer a guess. If the person uses the wrong word or can't find the right word, try guessing the right word. Or if you understand what they mean, finding the right word isn't even necessary. Also encourage nonverbal communication. If you don't understand what they're saying, ask them to point or gesture. When approaching a person and starting a conversation, come from the front. Identify yourself and keep good eye contact. If the person is seated or reclined, you are supposed to move to their level. Call them by their preferred name to get their attention, and use short, simple phrases and repeat information as needed. Only ask one question at a time. Speak slowly and clearly and use a gentle and relaxed tone, and patiently wait for a response. During the conversation, you can provide a statement rather than ask a question. Like I said in the grocery store, are you looking for cucumbers or broccoli? Instead of saying, do you need to use the restroom, say that the restroom's right here. Avoid confusing and vague statements about something you want the person to do. Instead, speak it directly. Please come here. Your shower is ready. Name an object or place. For example, here it is. For example, rather than say, here it is, say, here's your hat or here's your pants. Turn negatives into positive. Instead of saying, don't go there, say, let's go here. Give visual cues, point or touch the item that you want the person to use, like the toothbrush. Avoid quizzing. Reminiscing is very healthy, but avoid asking, do you remember when? Try using written notes or pictures as reminders of the person, if the person is able to understand them. So on page 9, we'd like to review the 5 key messages. We learned that the 5 key messages in the broken sentences activity, and who can remember them? Dementia is, and it's caused by, it's not just about having, and it's possible to have, and there's more to the person than. Very good. So, let's take what we've learned today and put it into action. What does dementia friendly mean to you? Anyone?
It means when you see someone that's struggling, you help them.
Being aware of the signs of dementia, so that you're, more aware of how to respond to that.
Very good. So people with dementia can become isolated if those of us around them don't understand what they're going through. And we can reduce that isolation to help people with dementia feel welcomed and supported in their communities. And we can do this by becoming dementia friends and turning what you have learned today into a dementia-friendly action. So to become a dementia friend, you need to support the 5 key messages and commit to your own dementia-friendly action. No action is too big or too small, and every action will make a difference. So some examples are, I will stay in touch with someone I know living with dementia. I will change how I talk about dementia by saying living with rather than suffering from. I will smile and say hello instead of avoiding a person with dementia. I will start a conversation at work, at my child's soccer game, or with my faith community about dementia friends and how to become one. So now discuss the actions that you'll choose to do after today with the person next to you or as a group. And while you do, I'm going to hand out an evaluation and action steps document. I'll collect this form from you and we will record your action in your, you can record your action in your work group. So I'll give you about 5 minutes to fill out the evaluation form. You can sign on the back too.
Hey, if you want this program in your church or your business, they'll come do it. And you can put dementia friendly sticker in your business.
Absolutely. And Erin's gonna post something tomorrow. I'm planning on doing one for the public at the senior center on the 18th. So we're gonna get that out in the newspaper and online. So, if you don't mind, you give us an idea of what some of your, action steps might be? Any of you, feel free. Not everybody at one time.
What is this not you're talking about on here?
Yeah, on the back, like the action steps.
Get in touch and staying in touch with someone I know living with dementia. Support the efforts in my community, volunteer, work organization. Carry out a personal action, and putting those practices into my professional and personal life.
I also like to, get in touch and stay in touch with someone. I have one in the nursing home. I was showing the pictures of veterans, and I go back and see him again. I'll do it this weekend, because I was explaining that you're right. He didn't understand, he didn't know what it was. But he sat there for the longest and with him. And so finally, I said to him, you know who I am? He started talking to me. He knew even my father and my grandfather, so he knew all those folks. And I was telling her he liked a hat, American Legion. He said, I like that hat. I said, you have one, don't you? He said, no. He said, okay, put it on. Took pictures, and then he started talking as if we knew him probably 10 years, 15, 20 years ago, 20 years ago. The people were gone that we knew. So it was kind of awesome. He knew his profession. He did remember what he used to do.